This episode is brought to you by our friends at Brooks Blooms, your all-in-one landscaping solution.
Brooks Blooms' three-step landscaping experience offers a seamless journey from design to construction and ongoing care, ensuring your outdoor space thrives year-round.
Visit brooksblooms.com today to embark on your landscaping journey, where every step is a step towards a vibrant and beautiful outdoor entertaining space.
This podcast is presented by Tab. Best time in sport with the best app in sport. G'day everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Ads and Dunks podcast. It's Dunks here and obviously joining me on the line, my best mate, Azzy Trelaw. How you going, mate?
Yeah, going good. We're very lucky with another special guest, which I'm excited about.
We are. And talking of that special guest, we're very fortunate to have Karen Brown, who is the founder of Batch Tested and a ex-professional athlete herself. Welcome, Karen. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Firstly, Karen, we'll go into a bit around your story. So tell us, for those that don't know, give us a little bit of a background into your journey as a netballer, firstly, and then the journey to Batch Tested and where you are today.
Yeah, so netballer growing up from about the age of 8, and then was lucky enough to play for the Firebirds. And then went on, and this was 20 years ago when, yes, you got paid to play netball, but it wasn't a career that you did. It was a hobby that you did before and after work or uni. My career, I'm actually a pharmacist, so I own 2 pharmacies here in Brisbane, and actually a teenage dream to be a pharmacist. It sounds really random, but careers information day in grade 9 decided I want to be a pharmacist. And then my 2 worlds collided with Batch Tested about 4 years ago when friends of mine who I actually knew through Firebirds, who were dietitians, came to me and said, our athletes are struggling to find the batches of supplements they want to use. You deal with these people all the time in pharmacy, all these companies, and you used to be drug tested and you understand drugs in sport. Can you kind of help us? And 4 years later, this is where we are. And that's how you and I first met, Josh, and obviously look after both your clubs. So, I feel it's a really special space. It's not something when I was at uni that I ever thought sport and pharmacy would be a thing. And it's really exciting to be in this space and kind of leading the way in Australia in that sport pharmacy role.
That's a really cool insight. I want to ask you about your own career. I mean, we've had some special guests on. We even had, we had a real estate agent on, which was really exciting. We spoke about his own career. So I want to touch on your career, some of your highlights. What are some memorable things you've done or you did during your netballing career?
Netball, it's really interesting. I came from a really big sporting family. So my dad actually played rugby league for Australia. My brother played rugby for Queensland. Mum swam for Queensland. So just grew up in sport and teams. And similar pathway to many young netballers, made state teams, and then actually debuted for the Firebirds when I was 19, which back in those days, that year in the Firebirds, we had 5 of us that won nationals in 19s and then played Firebirds. So super, super young team. And then I think I always knew that pharmacy was my career. So I was never able to do pharmacy and netball. Netball in those days, you trained in the morning, you went to uni all day, you trained at night, and then we'd play on the weekends. So it was a full-time job, but not a full-time job. You were combining it with a full-time job. So it wasn't something that once it kind of stopped being a hobby and I knew I had to focus on my career, you just retired in those days. Like it wasn't a thing that it was a big deul. And how wonderful in women's sport now that it is a career for them and so many different sports, which is amazing. So but as I said, I love my career that I've chosen and feel quite blessed that I get to do that every day and be part of the community and help people with their health. So I love it.
Yeah, it's a great story. And I mean, a lot of people probably don't know about the third-party testing, Karen. So do you want to give people an insight into that and what you're doing at Batch Tested and how it can help not only obviously professional athletes like us, but even kids these days growing up and adults too, like for the way that they want to treat their bodies and look after themselves?
So pretty much the stats are 1 in 3 non-tested supplements that you find at the pharmacy, the supermarket, health food store, online contain a prohibited substance, which is really, really scary. And for, yes, athletes that are in the drug testing pool, that's a potential career-ending positive drug test. And that's why we exist. So third-party testing is HASTA, which is the Australian company, and Informed Sport, which is the European company. They're the two main ones in Australia that people know. They test supplements to show that there are no prohibited substances detected. And the risk with supplements is they're not a regulated industry. So it's not like prescription medicine or pharmacy medicine. Supplement companies don't have to list all their ingredients. They can make all different claims. So it's not as regulated, which is where the traps are. Now, 20 years ago when I was playing netball, it was just a blanket, you do not take supplements. And what they've learned over the last 2 decades is athletes actually do want to take supplements. So how do we make it as safe as possible? The problem was people could never find the batch that had been tested. So there was still this kind of real kind of unawareness of what was actually, they didn't know what they were doing. So that's where we kind of fall into that space, is that every product we have has been tested or certified for you guys. And it's a huge growing space, as I said, a lot of athletes. And when we talk about supplements, it's obviously protein powders, electrolytes, but a lot of the space is actually in that vitamin market, which is where the biggest risk is, but where a lot of athletes do want to use vitamins. So how do we do it as safe as possible? And then when you think of the non-drug tested athletes, it's actually just the cleanest version. And that's what we see a lot in the amateur athletes or the teenagers that are coming through, particularly the swimmers. Teenagers, they can be 14 or 15 going to Olympic trials and getting their first drug test. So it's a real confusing space for everyone involved. And ultimately, it all comes down to the athlete as well. You're the sole responsibility of what goes in your mouth. It's not the doctor, the dietitian, the coach, the parent, the player manager. It all comes down to the athlete. But everyone needs to be educated.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Karen. I remember my first year in the system, which was 2010, which feels like a very long time ago. But I remember, we were kind of showed things that we probably shouldn't be taking. Then, club would bring in stuff that was batch tested. And I remember when my first dietitian said to me, batch tested, I just looked at her like, what the heck does batch tested mean? I had no idea what that meant. And I could only imagine some of our listeners right now are probably going, what the heck does batch tested mean? So what does that actually look like? What does that consist of? So my question to you is like, what does that actually look like? So getting something batch tested, like what's the process of that and how does that look?
So ultimately to get it tested, we send it to HASTA, where they literally in these $1 million machines will literally test the sample. And ultimately what they do is, in a layman's term, inject the 300 prohibited substances and then withdraw them all out. A lot of contaminations is actually stimulants and steroids. So as basic as the cow has been fed steroids that produces the gelatin for your gel capsules for your fish oil. That's as simple. And, as you guys know, food can be contaminated and things like that. So but a lot of the times the prohibited substances are actually not even on the ingredients list. So it's not like an athlete can look at the bottle and go through all the ingredients. And they use things like special blend, proprietary blend, which is so confusing for athletes. So the biggest takeout is what athletes need to know is looking for the two logos, so either a HASTA certified logo or an Informed Sport logo. But then there's a second tier, which is when they just test one batch, and the only way you can check that is through a certificate. And that's the kind of chosen path for many vitamin companies, because you've got to remember when it comes to vitamins, you guys are 0.0001% of their whole market that need this extra layer of testing. So to invest in testing every single batch is just not viable for them. So they're the kind of, you look for the two logos. If you can't see the logo, you check for a certificate. And if you can't check the certificate, then you don't buy the product. As simple as that. But yeah, the assumptions I hear all the time are really scary. I had one of the parents of an Olympic swimmer ring me just before heading to Paris, and she's like, I just picked up this vitamin B at the pharmacy. What's the big deal? It's just vitamin B. I'm sure they only test the high-risk supplements. That swimmer had a chance of a medal. And I just said to this mum, why would you even risk it? Like, she wanted it to pick him up, and I was like, it probably won't even pick him up. But how would you feel if he tested positive because of a tokenistic vitamin B supplement? So we always kind of come down to don't risk it. Like, you put in all the hard work with your nutrition and your training. Don't risk it on a non-tested fish oil or a non-tested vitamin C or something like that. It's just you've had Shayna on. You've seen the devastation that it can cause. So it's just a supplement. It's supplementing your normal diet and your nutrition and everything that you guys do day in, day out. Don't ruin it by taking a risk and just picking a supplement off the shelf.
And there are so many other ways too that you can get done. Like I remember getting taught that even going to an acai bowl place that does protein in their blenders, and if you order it without protein, it can still be contaminated with protein in that blender. So there's so many risks involved in a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a really common discussion, actually, the protein in blenders. So I know so many athletes that will not order any form of smoothie or juice at a cafe in case the blender hasn't been cleaned properly. I've heard of stories where teammates, so the general rule is if you share a house, every person in the house just uses the tested protein powder. And then I've heard some stories where the wife or the partner does not want the tested one. They want their kind of special female protein, and they've actually got a his and her blender just because in case those blenders contaminate. So you've got the extremes, like sheer paranoia, and then the kind of blasé, what's the big deal kind of concept. So and even where there's a lot of confusion around protein as well, like what makes it a food versus what makes it a supplement, and protein comes up quite a bit. So the general rule is knowing the source of the protein. So don't go and buy a protein ball at a cafe that may have been handmade versus a protein bar that you know what the company is and where it's been made and all that kind of stuff. And I've even heard, actually, it was one of the AFL clubs where one of the staff an older lady wanted to go and bake all this stuff for the players, and then the dietitian went, oh, my God, hang on a minute. What protein did you use in those balls and in that slice? And this older lady was like, oh, my God, I had no idea. So, yeah, that's what we talk about. The education goes to the people that need it, but sometimes it's actually the carers and the partners. And we've heard stories like that they leave the empty jar out on the bench and the partner goes, great, I'll go pick it up at the pharmacy, not realising that the batch that was empty was tested and the batch that it's at the pharmacy. So their intent is just to get you a new bottle. They just haven't had the training to know that they're actually two different, even though they look the same, they're actually two different products.
Yeah, it is crazy, Karen. The amount of times that, I might in the off season go work out with one of my mates or whatever it may be, and there's always these trendy new like protein bars. So Violet Crumble, I'm a massive Violet Crumble fan. I reckon there's a Violet Crumble protein bar going around, and one of my mates kept saying, oh, you got to just try it. I was like, mate, I can't. I don't know what's in it. It hasn't been batch tested. It's pretty crazy the amount of stuff that we get offered. It's like, no, we just don't know if we can. My question to you is, how often are you, dealing with an individual or speaking to an individual, I should say? What I mean by often is, are you doing it daily? Are you constantly getting calls where it might be a parent, as you've just spoken to us about, calling you up saying, Karen, I want to get this and this for my daughter, my son. Can we do this? How often are you getting calls or having conversations like that?
Yeah, all the time. And it obviously is very different. You've got team environments where you're talking with the doctor and the dietitian and the high performance team. And then you've got a lot of individual sports as well. So the swimmers and athletics are very interesting. They're very self-sufficient. They don't have the protection like you guys where the dietitian just tells you what to do and you just do, So very different in that space. And then also the parent space and a lot of education around, like, people will come and go, do I need my paracetamol batch tested? Do I need my antihistamine batch tested? What about my cold and flu tablets? So that's where the pharmacy side comes into it, that I'm able to kind of counsel on both sides. But, yeah, I really notice that the athletes that are very much left to their own devices, and then it's an education thing, like, what do you actually want to use it for? So some people ring and go, so one of the biggest areas is immunity. That's probably our biggest category. No one in general has time to get sick, but no athlete wants to get sick. There's some really sad stories of getting COVID before your Olympic final. You're traveling a lot, you're in hotels, you're on airplanes. So immune protection is the biggest thing we see across every single sport. So people will often ring and go, I think I need something, but I'm really not sure. And so I'll work through with them. What are the things you actually want to prevent? What do you want to treat? What is actually the right thing for you? You don't just take them for the sake of taking it. And adds just what you were talking before about how you get sent a lot of stuff. That's a lot of questions I get as well. So there's a lot of gifting happening. A lot happens on social media. There's a lot of assumptions around that. So they sponsor the big sporting event, so they must be safe. My top athlete uses it, so it must be safe. In a lot of those circumstances, the company is purely testing the products just for that event, or purely testing the product just for that ambassador, or purely testing the product just for that team. So everyone else doesn't get access to that, only those people. So that kind of leads people astray a little bit of, and I get a lot of phone calls from player managers. So my player's been approached by this product. Are they safe? What do I need to do? And I work with those companies then of, if you want to sponsor this player, this is what you need to do to get it tested so it's safe for that player. A lot of the sporting codes have rules in place. I'm not sure about the AFL actually, where they can't even be pictured in a social media tile with a product that hasn't been tested, for example. Even if they're not using it, they can't even be seen to be in the same photo, which is good. It just means people aren't misled, misguided. There's also a lot of miscommunication with marketing now. Marketing can really suck people in. So there's a lot out now that athlete endorsed or athlete centric or sport dietitian approved. None of that means anything to athletes that are drug tested. And the other thing is around third-party testing. I've had actually one of the AFL boys rang me. He'd got a product from the US. You know, the US have a lot of fancy things that players want to get in and do something different. And he said, I've got it. It says it's third-party tested, but the certificate looks a bit strange. And it actually had been third-party tested for heavy metals, not for prohibited substances. So people like a lot of companies will mislead with third-party tested. So the athlete goes, great, it's third-party tested, I've got a certificate, and they don't read the fine print kind of thing. So, there's a lot of avenues where you can get stuck unintentionally, and that's the sad part as well. Like, you haven't intentionally gone out to break the rules or take performance-enhancing supplements, but you get stuck just because you were miseducated.
You've got to be so careful these days with anything that you put in your mouth, or even don't they say, like, even at the gym, like a sweat on a table or something, if it goes into your skin, is that possible too?
Yeah, there's cases of kissing, like where people have kissed and the saliva transfer.
No.
Definitely food, like you'd never get a kebab from a street van overseas. So a lot of people definitely when they're traveling will stick to, we're quite blessed in Australia, like everyone generally stays at really nice hotels when they travel, and so they know where they're eating and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of cases of bodily fluids and food that have led to positive drug tests.
Do you ever, Karen, get like just the regular person, and I respectfully say that, someone who just works a 9 to 5 actually get in contact with you and talk about this stuff?
Yes, it's more probably the health conscious gym junkie.
Yeah.
So where they generally want to know, and you're going to have some gym people that actually would want steroids in their supplements, but you've got some people that do want the clean version. The military is another one. They're drug tested. It's kind of majority of what we do is people that are drug tested, but there are people that genuinely just want to get the clean version. And the question is then, will supplement companies eventually go down that path where they want the clean version for every single person, not just special testing for athletes that need it?
Yeah, it's so interesting. And then moving on to that non-tested side of things, like the enhanced games is coming up. So tell us about that, and then we'll have a bit of a chat around what we think about it.
I think the athlete in me, there's so much more to winning and sport than the scoreboard. And like I saw one of the swimmers that it was just him in a pool against a stopwatch, no one in the crowd. I heard his partner kind of make a statement that he was paid $1 million. And I was like, what do you tell your grandkids? Like, there's a legacy there. Like, is that something you're proud of, that you happen to be the fastest person, but no one was there to see you, no one cheered you on, you cheated? Like, for what? For money? Like, there's so much more to sport than, and we all know the best physical athlete and team doesn't always win.
Yeah.
Because of mindset and all the other things. Like, that's not what sport's about. It's not about that one metric. It's so much more than that, and the big picture. And I think it's all well and good. I heard this athlete's wife say he was monitored for 12 weeks under doctor's guidance while he took all the necessary, drugs. But what does that look like in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? Like, your body, like, just to get a number and paid money, like, it just blows my mind that,
Yeah, see, that's what my biggest thing from it would be the health concerns from a long-term point of view. I mean, I say it's all fine and dandy whilst you're doing it, but it's not. But obviously you wouldn't be feeling, I guess, the health pinch, instantly. You'd be feeling it 10 years' time, as you said, Karen. And that's what my biggest issue and concerns would be with it. Like, I'm not jeopardizing my long-term health. Exactly. Like, no one knows what's going to happen. So
correct.
Yeah, that's where it's just like, why would you put your body through that when a lot of these athletes like are good enough? Like, they're good enough to just, compete at the Olympic level under normal rules. You don't need to, take the steroids and the recovery drugs and everything that helps you fast track your recovery. So,
just to prove a point. Like, that's what I don't get. Like, it just,
What's your thoughts, Josh?
Oh, mate, it's mind blowing. Like, I agree with both things that you've both said. Like, it is interesting though, in like my opinion, like to see how far you can go with this kind of stuff and why it's monitored, because you can push yourself with this assistance to new levels that we've never seen before. So I don't know. It's kind of, I'm not saying it's not good to see, but the health benefits of it, I completely agree with. I think it's obviously going to hurt you long term, which sucks. But in terms of seeing what you can do under those banned substances, it's not a bad thing. Sorry, it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing in my opinion.
Yeah, Karen, I've got another question. This is kind of me thinking out loud, so I don't know if I'm going to make any sense here. But I want to know, if you want to compete at obviously the enhanced games, are these athletes, like, what is their advantage that they're looking for? So what particular drug would it be that they're taking that they're trying to get the advantage? Is it being able to recover quicker? Is it something that, I don't know, makes them have more stamina? Like, what is it they're actually doing or taking or looking for?
So I don't know exactly, but I'm going to make assumptions. The events have all been short bursts. So they've all been, the ones I've seen are like 50 meters. So it'd just be explosive power.
Explosive stuff.
So steroid stimulants, it'd just be how, over, what are we talking, 20 seconds?
Yeah.
Like, I think the record, over 20 seconds, reactive time, what can the body do? And I think the suit was involved or something, which we did in the Olympics, whatever, 10, 20, 15 years ago was the suit era. And now we're breaking those world records. So that's the other thing. We're breaking those records that they did in the suit. So it just shows, I think there's more ways I kind of see where you're going there, Josh. I think there's more ways we can push our body than using drugs to do it. And, the sports science area, the technology, there's so many ways that we've seen so many sports evolve over time that hasn't relied on pharmaceuticals to do it.
What I would love to see is like the integrity part, like see what you can do with banned substances, but then see what you can do with being, tested supplements, batch tested, everything clean, and see how close you can get that gap. Like, I feel like mentally these days, and as you and I talk about the mental side of the game a lot on the podcast, and I think that part of it is so much more beneficial than what potentially this might be. So it's very interesting.
Well, the other thing would be if you actually had a race with 4 enhanced games and 4, like, doesn't mean that enhanced game is just you and the stopwatch. So there's no mental side to it. You're not got someone next to you that might psych you out. You're not racing next to someone who's gone out harder than you and you're trying to catch them. Like, it'd be interesting as well if they were actually next to each other, what results that, there's so many different ways you could spin it.
The extension of that as well is what then happens if the Olympic game, obviously those athletes who are clean, what then happens if it turns out that they're actually quicker and faster and better than the enhanced games? Like, does the enhanced games just become nothing then? Because, you know, the Olympic games obviously
It'd be calmer. It'd be really good.
Yeah. So it's still mind blowing. I mean, I seen a photo the other day of one of our swimmers. I don't remember who it was, but he looked absolutely huge. And I just couldn't believe, like, he could even swim first and foremost. But it's going to be very intriguing to see what happens.
Exactly. And how long does it go for? And, you know, And what other thing? I think I've only seen swimming. So it'd be interesting to see what other sports,
Do you have any
Let's jump on?
Yeah. Do you have any like, I don't know, like funny things you could say to us here in the potty where you might have had someone call up and go, oh, you know, can my daughter or son take this? But you in your own mind, Karen, are thinking, absolutely not. There's no way you can take that. But you say it in a polite way.
Not that case, but I've got a good case for you because it was an AFL footballer and I won't disclose what club it came from.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I got a phone call regarding they were trying to find this product, and I said the brand of the product had stopped testing about 3 years earlier. And I said to the dietitian that had rung me, I said, oh, what product are you trying to get? Like, it's been, you know, hasn't been on the market for like 3 years. And she said, oh, I'm trying to get this particular one. And I said, that failed testing every single time it got tested. And she's like, no, my player's got a certificate, which is very out of date, but he's definitely got a certificate for it. And I said, do you want to get him to check the result on the certificate? And so the result on the certificate had said prohibited substances detected, but he'd been taking it on and off over like 5 years and just hadn't been tested in the times that, you know.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of, that's the role we play, is just giving people peace of mind. And as I said, you just would hate your career to end because of something stupid like that. It's just not worth it. So, yeah, and I must admit, the AFL boys are, you guys definitely in the nutrition space, like what your clubs devote to nutrition is huge. And yes, we support all the clubs, but even some individually that kind of go over and above what their club is doing. And so really put a big emphasis on nutrition, which is really good to see.
Yeah, it is so good. And, you know, I feel like that little 1% or 2% that you might get from taking some supplements and is really beneficial for all of us. And that's why we do it, because we want to be the best people and players that we can be. Before you came on the potty, Karen, I asked you, like, if you had any questions for us, or is there anything that you think that people would like to know from our point of view? So did you have anything that you wanted to ask us that you want to hear our opinion on?
Yeah, I thought it would be good to share about when you've been drug tested. I know, Josh, you said you got tested recently, but I've also heard the story of after your 2016 grand final, like, what is it like to be drug tested and the inconvenience of being drug tested? And I actually think you guys have it pretty light on, really. Like, the swimmers are phenomenal how often they get tested for something that happens every 2 to 4 years. But maybe share, what is it like to get drug tested? How often do you get drug tested? Do you get worried until you get that result back? What's it like?
Well,
is it just annoying inconvenience?
I got a funny one. Well, I actually got drug tested 3 weeks ago. So it was a Monday recovery day. We were off-site, actually. We weren't even at the club. And for what it's worth, Karen, I'm not sure how much you know about my individual season, but I've done about 6 calves and I've only played 3 games. So anyway, I've walked in and obviously you see the drug testers there and you got their checkboard, and I'm walking in and I didn't think anything of it because I'm like, they're not going to test me. Anyway, the one comes and follows me. So they basically tag you. And he comes and follows me, and I'm like looking at him like, you kidding me? And then I was like, why are you testing me? And he goes, oh, it's just, you know, you're in rehab just in case you're doing something, you know, taking supplements or whatever. And I'm like, this is what I said. I was like, mate, if I'm taking steroids, I'm taking the wrong ones because I've done 6 calves. Like, there's no way that you can be testing me. So Anyway, I ended up getting tested that day, and for someone, I can get pretty frustrated pretty quick. I was quite annoyed because we were off site. There was no we had a school that we had no idea where anything was. So I was trying to find where the gym was and whatnot. And he's just following me everywhere. And I was just like, I don't want any of this. So, nice little funny story for you.
Oh, I love it. Well, Josh, didn't you get tested almost after you did a post? And that we were all talking about the conspiracy theories of how you get selected. And normally it would be you've had a blinding game, we'll pick you. I know in netball it used to be they just picked a bib out of a hat. Whoever was wearing the bib at the end of the game was the one that got tested. But, yeah, some of the stories I've heard and just being able to provide a sample, how long that can take post-game when you're really dehydrated. And I think the other big thing we hear a lot is athletes, you are guilty straight away until you can prove your innocence, whereas the general public is innocent until you're proven guilty. And we've all seen the front page news. Peter Bowl, for example, where it was a false positive, but it gets leaked to the media. And I think you guys are probably lucky. People in clubs are quite protected, but those individual athletes, it's just straight across the paper, and then they've got to clear their name and go through all that horrible stuff. And I know a lot of athletes will say that to me, like it's just so unfair that just straight away you're guilty because of how the sample's done. And, it's the world you guys live in, though. Yeah.
It is. Like we actually had, I think, a crew from Informed Sport at the start of the year. They came into the club and told us, the process of sort of how you are selected, and there's so many different variables to it. But it might be who you hang out with. It could be how your form's going. Could be doing a post, like in my case, how it was 2 weeks ago when I got tested after I did that post. But and the other one's like if you like horse racing or whatever it might be, like what you're doing on weekends. So there's so many different ways that they can get you, and so many different stories too that you hear a lot of the time. That's funny. But I mean, my funniest one was the 2016 one. Probably wasn't that funny, to be fair, because we just won a grand final, and same thing as ads. This guy just jumps on your back and he follows you around, and I'm like trying to have time with my family and friends and the boys really after the game. And I was like, you know what? I'll get this done straight away. So I went into the toilet, filled all the forms out, started doing it, ads, and didn't get my 90 mil. So I couldn't, back then you couldn't leave the room until you get your 90 mil. So I was in this tiny little change room at the MCG, like drinking beers because we just won an AFL grand final and trying to get, I think it was 10 mil more out of my body. And he's got the tap on, he's got the phone playing, like
everything.
Hissing sounds, and it was so bad.
Mate, the listeners got to understand that as athletes, especially AFL athletes, like we're covering 14 to 15 Ks a game. You're not drinking much throughout the game. Like you're rarely drinking water. You might have a sip here and there, but once you get off and you get the tap on the shoulder, you got to just start smashing waters and beers, as you said, because you're not going to be, it's going to take you ages until you can actually get the 90 mils out. And as you've just said for the listeners, they have a measuring cup, the testers, where you've got to hit the 90 mils and it's a full measurement. And if you don't hit it, as you said, you got to come back and top it all off. So that's quite funny that you had to deal with that. I could only imagine Panda would have been loving that.
Oh, mate.
Did they give you a time frame?
Probably. Yeah, it was. I think it was 45 minutes that I had to wait around. Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long time because that next year they actually brought in something to do with Sudafed. So there was a new. I think there was a reading. Someone actually said that in that grand final, someone that got tested was high, like over the limit on Sudafed for the next year.
Yes,
it wasn't me because I didn't take Sudafed before the game, but an AFL player that played in that grand final actually would have tested positive for being higher on that mark, which is so interesting.
So there's a big thing around pain medication where obviously there's a lot that's banned in competition only. So, how before the game, how many hours before the game or how many days before the game do you have to stop taking it to make sure it's out of your body and stuff. But how your hydration status can actually determine the concentration in your urine. And there's a lot of tests that they can do if you can prove that, no, I definitely did the dose that I was supposed to do. I definitely stopped when I was supposed to, but my urine has just shown a much higher concentration than what normally should be there. So yeah, so how long do you have to wait then for your results to come through?
It's a good question. I think it's within the week, isn't it, Josh?
Well, I actually asked this question a few weeks ago because it was my first test after being on the new supplement that I'm now taking. And they said, so it's about 2.5 weeks until they know exactly. So you'd be informed in 2.5 weeks if you're positive or not, and you get a phone call, and it wouldn't be a great phone call to have. But I was curious too, because I actually wasn't too sure what the process was. I think the base of it all is in Sydney, if I'm correct, Karen. I'm not too sure about
I'm not
where the base
sure.
of the testing place is.
They don't tell you. They only call you if it's positive, don't they? They don't tell you otherwise. Is it?
They don't tell you negative snap.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary.
Because you're just waiting for that. Yeah. There's an interesting case in America where a runner was gifted some Gatorade gummies, and he was tipped to go to Paris. He was the world champion in his 21 years and under. And the coach is like, yep, they're a really good brand. They'll be fine, because he'd said, do you reckon these are safe? He'd been drug tested a month earlier, was perfectly fine, then got drug tested like a month later, tested positive. They went and tested the gummies. The gummies were found to be contaminated, but the company that produced them said it was an open bag, and so he's obviously contaminated them. So he went back asking for a sealed bag. They don't make them anymore. And so now he's suing them for millions of dollars. So he got banned for 4 years, suing them for millions of dollars because he lost all his endorsements and sponsors. And then had later found out that it had a logo on it in the US, but this company had outsourced the production to another company who then put them back in that bag but hadn't actually tested them, etc. So it's still going through the courts. The poor guy. So, yeah, it's pretty scary. And, he was like, I was tested fine a month ago and now I'm positive. And his career's, total mess. So, it's sad and scary, but kind of why we're here. So,
yeah, that is sad. I've got one more question, Karen. I don't know if this is true, but I think it is. There's a certain amount of caffeine now that you can have game day, isn't it? Game day. You can't be going out there smacking 6-7 coffees before you play, because I love my coffee. So there's a caffeine limit, isn't there?
Yeah, I can't quote the milligrams, but they kind of looked at banning it a while ago and then they brought it back. Okay. I think as well, once you get to a certain limit of caffeine, your body, you get the shakes and you go over the top kind of thing. So I think, yes, a lot of people like their caffeine, but I don't think it's a huge amount. It's 10 cups of coffee kind of thing, and you'd probably be totally not focused and not be able to actually perform at what you were doing. So, it is one they kind of keep an eye on, and that's like all foods, energy drinks, all those kind of things, of when does it turn from a food and drink to a supplement. And a lot of it is around what is normal food and drink intake versus what is performance enhancing, or your aim is to enhance your performance, versus just a normal food and drink consumption kind of thing. So, caffeine is one that, yes, a lot of people do like, whether it's in the Red Bulls or the Cokes and things like that. I think the normal limit is fine. And if you're doing up those really high limits, I don't think you'd be able to perform. I think it'd be a detriment to your performance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic. And I guess we'll probably wrap it up there, Karen, unless you had anything else that you wanted to say before going.
No, all good. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. And really appreciate your time. Obviously, a very important topic, because as we have a lot of listeners ourselves that obviously have ambitions to make the AFL or make professional sport themselves, and to take their bodies and I guess skill level and stuff to the next level, that they probably look into this kind of stuff. And it's just nice to be able to have you on to talk about it, us to share a couple of funny stories. But from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for coming on, and we really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Adzi, we'll move on from that one. Obviously, something we don't really talk about a lot on the podcast is drug testing and performance-enhancing drugs and that kind of stuff. So nice to be able to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, it's good insight and stuff that we get taught about quite a bit, especially in the off season and some reminders throughout the year. The immunity side of things is a really intriguing one because, as you know, you probably don't get it up there in Brizzy, but with the change of weather here and the cold here in Melbourne, there is some sickness that goes around. So it's interesting the amount of work that has to go into getting the right, immunity coverage for us in terms of supplements. So whether it's zinc or fish oil or things that give you a bit of a boost throughout the winter months, it's intriguing. I reckon listeners will really enjoy that conversation.
Do you take anything in particular for your immunity?
Fish oil is the main one. I don't really. I did for a long time. I reckon when I got into the system, as I touched on throughout the interview, to probably like 2 years ago, I was like really diligent. I'd take stuff every single day. But the last 2 years, and this is for personal reasons, I've had some stomach issues. So I kind of stopped taking things and I just want to rely on the natural nutritional side of things in food. So, yeah, to answer your question, I don't really take too many supplements anymore. What about you? I know you like your supplements, and obviously batch tested, or Batch the brand is obviously a big supporter of yours.
Yeah, no, I've sort of been opened up to or exposed to it, as you would say, throughout my career, and now it's pretty consistent. Like every day, I'll take zinc. I take a recovery probiotic, which is obviously good for reducing inflammation and good for your gut as well, because we do take a lot of meds game day and your body's sore and anti-inflammatories and that kind of thing. And then I take a natural supplement, Curcuminoid, which is a sort of like an anti-inflam natural one. So they're the three that I take daily, and obviously the proteins and that kind of thing is all new for me as well. I've got to deal with ATP science, which is good. It's like nice and I don't know, it's not as heavy as some of the other ones that I've had in the past. So nice to be able to do that and be hydrated, and creatine and that kind of stuff too. So I'm actually heavily invested in the supplement side of things. I feel like it does wonders for my body and myself as a general person. So if there's people out there that wonder, what it's like, then obviously look at Karen or speak to Karen, and she'll send you in the right direction.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important for general health and well-being. That's the main, goal from all of it. And that is, again, going hand in hand with the nutritional side of things. So it should never replace, a good, healthy, balanced diet, but it obviously really helps you, if you may be missing here or there. So, it's crazy how far it's come. Even the fact that Karen said 20 years ago that they were just told flat out not to take supplements, to now obviously where we're at. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. All right, we'll move on from that talk. We'll get into our favourite segments of the week, mate. We'll start off with our Brooks Bloom of the week. What have you got for us this week? I reckon we might have the same.
No, we would have, and I'll let you, because it's a footy one. There's, I'll let you share that one. Mine's actually Jerome Hughes. Jerome Hughes is my, he's my Brooks Bloom of the week. I'm a huge fan of Hughesy, as you are, and he's an absolute superstar, Dally M winner, and he's just re-signed for 5 years. So what an absolute get that is for Melbourne Storm. He's such a superstar of the competition, and I'm super stoked for him. And he's also in our American Aces League. So hopefully we can get on top of him this year. But well done to Hughesy.
Well done to Hughesy. That's a good Bloom of the week, mate. Mine is obviously the highly talked about. I'm not going to say the player, because I'm not going to say it's just him. I just think the final play of the Melbourne St Kilda game is my Bloom of the week, because purely on, in that moment, obviously the Ds, they were trying to defend everything and stop the flow of momentum. But, mate, for NAS and Rowan Marshall to have even just the thought in their mind to play it out the way that they did, I don't know how they've even thought of that in that moment of the game. Like, I try and think about things on field, and I think, sometimes there's things that you want to talk about to certain individuals, but to play it out the way that they did is incredible. And I just wanted to pump that up, because a lot of people will just think, oh, they just kicked it to that spot, but they planned it out. You can see it happen as it rolls.
Yeah, certainly a set play, and I reckon that's getting praised, here in Melbourne for sure. It's still getting spoke about today, and it's currently Tuesday. So, Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable for them to execute the way they did, and for Naz's last, his last quarter, but his last month of footy, mate. Like even his last 2 months of footy, like probably the best player in the competition, right up there. I mean, I'd have him in the conversation as one of the best. So what a cool moment for the 2025 season was that last quarter for the Saints.
Absolutely loved watching that on Sunday afternoon after our terrible loss on Saturday. It was good to get up and about for that one. So we'll get into our tab tip of the week right now, and we're going to go to the NRL because obviously our one last week, mate, is a futures bet. So we don't want to, well, we can't know whether it's going to win or lose. We'll know later on in the year, early next year, actually. But we're going to go to the NRL. And talking of Hughesy, we're going to go to the Melbourne Storm Parramatta Eels game. We're going to go Melbourne head-to-head to win in this one. Xavier Coates, who you like, Ads, to score a try. And I reckon Josh Addo-Carr will score one against his old mob in the Melbourne Storm. So that's our 3-leg same-game multi. It's currently paying $5. You happy with that one, Ads?
Certainly am, mate. I hopefully this can be the Kickstarter for the rest of the year because, as I said, we settled for the futures last week because we weren't getting anything in real time. So hopefully it's the Kickstarter for us. But it'll be a good game. I'm really excited for the game. Storm obviously sitting nice and comfortably in third position. So, looking forward to the game, but hopefully it gets up for us.
$5. There you go. As always, Ads, gamble responsibly, mate. I'll
Absolutely,
see you next week for our review of our tip.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right, mate. Well, I'm my little segment that I've introduced about halfway throughout the year that I'm loving. I'm getting so many sent to me from people, which is funny but they're asking some really inappropriate ones, so I won't be asking those. I might ask you in private, actually, but we've got some good ones here. I really like this one. I want Brado's thoughts on this. So, would you rather live forever? So, you're never going to die, mate. Live forever, or wake up every day with a new superpower, but you just live the normal human being lifespan.
So are you saying every day you wake up, you've got a different superpower, or you're adding to your superpowers?
Different superpower. So it's just one. So it could be Incredible Hulk one day. You could wake up being Mr. Stretch from Fantastic Four, who stretches as long as he wants.
Nah, mate, to be honest, I'm going to live forever.
Really? No way.
Yeah.
No way. I'm going superhero, mate. I'm living a good life in the 90 years as a superhero.
You can't live a good life when you're the Incredible Hulk and you're just, breaking doors down and shit.
That might only be once I'm the Incredible Hulk in my 90 years of living.
Yeah, one. Yeah, okay.
Go on, Brado.
This is the worst you've ever done, Dunks. This is, what are you talking about? You have to, one, I'm not that chuffed on this life. I'm going to keep going forever. I just keep grinding.
I live forever.
Anyway, so you see your parents die, your partner die, all your pets die, all your friends die, and then you just chill in here. I mean, you do have forever to make new friends.
Yeah, true.
But you'll just be loved by everyone. You'll be the center of attention every day for the awesome amount of time we have left on this earth. The amount of people that you can help across your journey, you could probably save millions of people and go down as one of the best people that has ever walked the earth. But you just want to live forever. I actually think it's quite selfish.
Hey, Brado. That's not. That's hard because that's not Josh. He does not have a selfish bone in his body.
I'm starting to come around. I think it's all fake.
No, Brado. What superpower would you have? Tell me what superpower would you want?
Well, I get to have them all by the sounds of it.
No. Of course, you get them all. But if you could just choose one, or when you get this particular one, you'll be the most chuffed about. Which one would that be?
We all know it would be fun to be invisible. It's a bit creepy. It's a bit creepy.
You creep. You're a creep, Brado.
Hey, but I wouldn't use it.
We can't see your face because you're freaking the voice.
See, I'm invisible now. I'm invisible right now. But I clearly wouldn't use it the way that you're intending on using it. You've gone straight to creep mode. I'll probably sneak in when there's like people being held hostage and I'll get the bank robbers and save the day. That and flying. Flying would be dope, but I'd stuff
Flying
it
would be
up.
cool.
Time travel would be the best.
Yeah,
That would be
time
cool.
travel. Reading people's minds. We already thought about that the other day.
Yeah, true. Okay, I got another one. I got one more. All right. Would you rather? This is interesting because I've never seen Josh cry. I've seen him tear up a couple of times.
Dunks try. Answer this one better.
Okay. Would you rather lose the ability to cry or cry every day for 20 minutes randomly?
Just lose the ability to cry?
No way. Sometimes you need a good cry. No way.
Nah.
No way. I'm crying every day, 20 minutes randomly. Righto?
See, I'm telling you, Dunks is a psycho. He wants to live forever and never cry again. What do you just live in a cave on the outskirts of the city and just no friends, no family, just not crying? That means you're going to live forever. You're going to see all your friends, family, and everyone die, and you're not going to shed one tear. That's going to eat you up for the rest of your life, which just happens to be infinity years.
Exactly. I'm never going to cry.
Yeah, but it's going to be in you.
But I don't want to.
It's going to be in you.
I don't want to cry every day, though.
You'll want to cry.
It's only 20 minutes. You randomly, you know when it's about to break out. You can just quickly go sneak off.
I actually
20 minutes out.
I want to cry most days. I'm just on the precipice of tears every day. If I could just get it out, 20 minutes, I could put it in the schedule. Go to lunch, have a cry, come back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Josh, what if you can schedule the 20 minutes of crying? You can put it wherever you want in your calendar throughout the day and just schedule the 20 minutes.
During the team meeting?
No, I don't want to cry every day. I just don't want to cry every day. Like, that just doesn't make me feel good. So I'm just going to take the no crying.
What about if
it makes it sound like you think crying's a negative thing. What if you're crying tears of joy, happiness?
True.
What if it could be tears of anything, just relief.
What happens if one day you see your best mate win a grand final, something that he's tried to do his whole life, that he's wanted to achieve for a very, very long time, and you're there in the boundary line wanting to cry happy tears for me and you can't. You physically can't. And you're just looking dead straight at me whilst I'm celebrating.
No, I can still get emotional, but I can't cry. So I can still get around you like I would. And
you might
give
actually
you hugs and whatever.
You might actually end up losing friends because they're like, why can't you support me? Get around me. Get around me. My best friend my nan just passed away and you're just sitting there staring at him. Jeez. This is
all right. Let's
move
on. Let's move on, please. Let's move on, please.
I'll stick by my answers. All right, we'll move on. We'll get into the footy side of things. Ads this round that was. I want to ask you about a couple of things first before we talk about games. Toby Green's comments to Tommy Papley at halftime of the Sydney game or the Sydney derby. What did you think of him?
What do I think? Well, I don't know. I just kind of laughed to start. But I thought, my first thought is they were mates. Pretty sure they're mates, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I think so. I don't know if they're mates, but like they know each other well enough that they would have crossed paths and probably had a beer together at some point.
He did come out and say that during the game and in that moment, they weren't mates. It was like we weren't mates when we were out there. So
yeah,
had a bit of spice to it.
Yeah. I don't know. That was my first thought. I was like, the only reason he's saying something tongue in cheek like that is because he's mates with him. Because you wouldn't be saying it to someone if you didn't know him. But I thought it was funny. I just had a good laugh. What about you?
Yeah, I had a good laugh as well. I couldn't believe that he said it, but you could just tell that he wasn't in the frame of mind to be talking to Benny Dixon on the sideline. He just didn't want a bar of it because they were getting smacked, and he was he said himself that he was down on his performance too. So it was pretty funny in hindsight. But yeah, obviously not the greatest thing to say, but I still think it's, if you're going to interview players in that moment, as quick as what he did, run onto the ground and put a microphone in front of him, we've got to be able to accept that. Like we can't just not say that he can't say whatever he's thinking because that's in the heat of the moment, mate. That is heat of the moment, heat of the battle, how he's exactly feeling at that time. So I think we can't really crucify him for doing that.
No, yeah, I agree with you. And I think I think there was a bit of a thing where they showed Tom Papley on the bench, the Jake Stringer. I think it might have been the instigator in a way. So yeah, there's always more to the story. People just see it's like when you're at stoppage, right? And you're the one who gives away a free kick for hitting your opponent, but the umpire doesn't see the opponent hitting you 4 or 5 times in a row, and you do that one little hit and you get the free kick against you. It was almost to me like, kind of a bit of that. But yeah, he was certainly on edge, Toby Green. But I tell you what, whatever they did at halftime really really got him going, because they ended up winning by about 50. So it was an amazing turnaround.
It was an amazing turnaround. Amazing game to watch. That third quarter from the Giants was insane.
Yeah.
The next one I wanted to ask you about was Jezza Cameron. Can he kick 100 goals?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be. I can't see him doing it in the home and away season. Like, he's got to kick 31 goals now in 4 games. I mean, if he's going 11 a game, geez, and I eat my words. But yeah, it's hard just because of modern footy, mate. Obviously know modern footy. Like, it's just hard to really kick bags of goals, and that's why the 11 is so impressive, because to me, that's like kicking 18, 19, 20 goals back in the heyday. So to answer your question, I don't think in the regular season, but I think when he gets to the finals, he's every chance to be close to kicking 100.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll now start to feed him a bit more.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
Yeah, because he's getting close to it. And it wouldn't surprise me if he gets it done in 4 games. But at the same time, I do think that it'll happen this year at some point. When that is, I'm not sure, but it'll be great. It'll be unbelievable to see.
Yeah, it's amazing. I still pinch myself up. When I retire, I got no doubt I'll be thinking about the players I was able to play with. Mentioned Bont and Scotty Pendlebury as 2 of the notable ones. Jezza is someone I certainly pinched myself about, that I got to see him up close, and I got to see him as a 17-year-old, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And, it's no surprise to me that he's still at the top of his game at the age of 32. So he's older than me. And for him to be doing what he's doing still is just amazing. Amazing to watch. He's an absolute superstar, and he will be a lock for the Hall of Fame when he is retired, because he's just getting better and better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's an unbelievable player that's still going incredibly well, obviously kicking potentially 100 goals this year. Like, that is unbelievable. So who knows how long he's going to continue to play for. But fingers crossed he can get that done. Was there anything else from the round, mate, that you wanted to discuss?
From not really outside of our games. We'll talk about our games, but just again, Sam Doherty. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last week, but what a joy to see him kick a goal. I know they didn't go out the way he wanted to, but him just kicking that goal and having one final moment for him and his family was really special to see. And I think it's a little bit more special when I watch players retire and whatnot nowadays, because I know I'm close to the end than I am, starting. So it was awesome to see, and what a true superstar he was. But outside of that, more our games, mate. May as well get into your game. I feel like, haven't really spoken here after an absolute thumping. And yeah, it's, to be quite brutally honest, it looked like the game was pretty over during the second quarter, mate. And I know that's something that you guys would have obviously been really disappointed about. What's the fallout from the game?
Yeah, very, very disappointing, mate, to be honest with you. Like, we've probably had, I don't know, since I've been here, about 4 of these games, I reckon, where we've just been completely off. This one was a little bit different, though, because normally you can get a bit of a sense when, you might not be on pre-game and you sort of implement a few things that get you going. But this one, there was no real warning signs. And that was the thing from my point of view, where I was a bit like confused, I guess, at times. Like, we started really well. The game was on our terms, and then we just probably couldn't convert as well as what we would have liked. So, credit, mate. You can't take credit away from the Gold Coast. Like, they played unbelievably well, and we played poorly. So the result of the game was that they were really good and we were terrible. So I think the fallout is, we know that we've got to be so much better to move forward in this season. everyone individually put their hand up and said, I wasn't good enough in plenty of moments throughout the game. So we had a bit of a meeting yesterday where, Fags showed a few clips of things that, mate, you don't dream of seeing on a footy field. Like it was bad. It was really bad. Some walking, some off the ball stuff that we weren't happy with as a group. And we all take it as a group. Like it's not pointed at individuals because no doubt at some point throughout the game, every single person that was out there would have had a moment like it.
Yep.
So we know that we're going to cop a lot of heat throughout the media, that kind of stuff. But as I always say, mate, what we listen to is inside the four walls. We know our best footy is capable to beat anyone. But unfortunately, on the weekend, we were nowhere near that. And, credit to the Gold Coast, as I said earlier. They really came to play and we just weren't ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point you make about players owning up and putting their hands up and watching vision. I guess for the listeners, like, what does that look like? I mean, is it just plain and simple that it's Monday review and Fags runs through 5 minutes of individual edits in front of the whole group and just puts players on the spot? Or is it, not that old school nowadays and it's more a team-based approach and the individual, disregard the individual, it's just not what we accept? Take us a little bit into that.
Yeah, it's more, I mean, Fags stands up there and sort of talks about, there's not these, he showed us, I think, 5 or 6 clips where he's like, there's 5 or 6 clips coming up here, but there could have been 50 of them. So everyone knows that, like, I would definitely be in one of them. Everyone would have been in one of them. But he just showed 5 or 6, and the 5 or 6 really painted a picture of, what the rest of the game looked like. And so essentially it's just you put the vision up and there's individuals in that vision that I'm not going to name, but that you see, and they're not, the effort's not there, the squeezing out or the manning up, it's just not there. The physicality's not there. So that was what it looked like. And we sort of asked each other, what do we expect in this situation? And the guys put their hand up and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. So it is a bit personalized, but at the same time, I think we all know as a group and the individuals know that that's just not on them. It's on everyone because we're all in that position at some point.
Yeah, it's interesting because, for the listeners out there, I feel like, I've certainly been a part of sides where, and this is probably early days in my career, where it was very old school and a lot of the approach was if you've had a really bad game as a team and you go through individual edits in front of the group, like it was putting the player on notice and putting him on show kind of with disappointing edits. And sometimes, that's hard to see. That is very hard to see. You don't want to see yourself, look shit house, looking like you're selfish or doing something, that the team doesn't need. So it's a good insight that you give because we've probably gone away from that as an industry. I can't really think of many clubs now where you hear stories of that. Maybe, if they're a team that's really struggling, they might want to go with an old school vibe or whatever. But yeah, you don't typically see that kind of review nowadays in team meetings and whatnot.
It's a good point you raise. I think the most powerful thing that I think we do as a footy club is that vision is it tends to be leaders when it comes up. So that's a good thing for the younger guys to see, I might have been in a clip and it's like they're seeing me in a clip. So then if they're in a clip, they don't feel as bad because it's a leader of the footy club that's been around for a long period of time. So instead of back in the day when it used to just be, right, let's just nail potentially the young kid or the kid that, the scapegoat as we'd call them. But there's none of that these days. It's all about making sure that the messages get through using potentially a leader or a high caliber type player. So I think that's really important in the delivery and approach to those types of meetings as well.
Yeah, I certainly do too. I think that shows great sign of leadership from the top down. And what I mean by the top, by the coach and coaching staff down, because the last thing you want is your young guys or your young kids thinking, oh no, I'm like walking on eggshells here because I'm going to get shown. They never show the leaders. You don't want to divide within the group. So it's a good point. And it's a good way to be.
Yeah. So as I said, mate, it was a disappointing loss, but I mean, you finish the game and you're like, I already want to play because you just want to redeem yourself. So that's what we're looking to do this week. we finished the meeting off pretty positively yesterday and already started thinking about Collingwood. So looking forward to that challenge now and, getting our season back going.
Yeah, well, it is a massive 4 weeks for you boys. You guys have a really tough draw with opposition and, if anyone's capable of winning those games, it's you boys. So I'll be a keen observer as always.
Let's touch on your game quickly. It was a bit of a blowout, but anything from your vision that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Oh, not really. No, I'm not going to bore you, mate. I feel like we've seen this movie before. The old quotation. We know what our struggle is, and that's obviously to play really well against the sides that are above us and playing good footy. So Essendon certainly have their challenges, and I certainly feel that sorry for them with their injury list and the amount of players that they have had to use. I think if there's one positive from it, at least all their kids and their players are getting an exposure, which will help them in the long run, which is great. But yeah, certainly grateful that we were able to put in a really good performance and keep putting ourselves in a position to hopefully, push for a finals berth because, it's in our hands at the moment. I feel like if we win our 4 games, we're a huge chance to qualify. So, we've just got to do that, and we've got a ripping challenge this week against the Giants, who, as you said before, mate, they had a blistering second half. Their third quarter was unbelievable, and they're going to fancy themselves against us on a fast deck at Marvel. So pumped we won the game, and some players played some really well. But as you said, we've moved on really quickly and looking forward to the game on Thursday.
All right, well, we'll get into our Bloomin' Dunklor Award then, mate. Just give us your 3, 2, 1 quickly. This is a hard one this week.
Oh, mate, it was that hard. Like, Riley Thilthorpe deserves votes. Matt Rao deserves votes, who was unbelievable. Finn Callahan was someone said to me today, moves like Chris Judd, the way he plays. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. He's got Chris Judd about him. Aaron Norton was outstanding as well. But my 3, so my 1 goes to Nick Dacos. He'll win the Brownlow. He has to win the Brownlow this year. He was unbelievable. My 2 goes to Jeremy Cameron. And it hurts me to say this because he's kicked 11 and he's getting 2 votes. He's kicked 11 and he's kicked 2 votes. And I said before, it's like kicking 18. But I just feel like, going back and watching that last quarter, I didn't watch the St Kilda Melbourne game at all because I had my junior boys on, so I wasn't able to see it. But I went back and watched the last quarter. Mate, what a special player he is a superstar, and he just keeps his checkbook just keeps going up and up and up and up. And that's obviously Wanganeen-Milera for St Kilda, so he's got my 3 votes.
Yeah, mate, we've got exactly the same this week. First time ever, I reckon. So my 1 was Dacos, 2 was Jezza, and 3 was Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera. Incredible weeks from all those guys. And yeah, as you said, his paycheck's going up and up every week. So
it is.
Who knows? It's going to be amazing to see where he ends up. A lot of things going around the media circles, like even Geelong throwing their hat in now. So
I hope he stays at the Saints.
We'll move on to.
I hope he does. Hope he stays at the Saints. Unreal for him.
Me too. All right, let's move on to our tips for this coming round.
Yep.
Your game is Thursday night against the Giants, so we'll touch on that briefly. Friday night, Adelaide versus Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. Big game.
Yep. Oh, it's massive. Yeah, 2nd v 5th. Mate, I just can't go against Adelaide. Yeah, they made a real statement on the weekend against Port Adelaide. And, I just can't go against them, mate. Crows.
It's crazy. They just keep getting better and better. But, I mean, I feel like they're due for a little loss soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. And this could be the week. I might. I know they're my boys, so I'll just tip them. I'll tip them. But I just feel like there may be an upset coming soon for the Crows. Just not sure when. Saturday, 1:20, Melbourne versus the Eagles at Marvel Stadium.
Melbourne will win this. I'm confident they'll get the job done.
I'm with you too, Melbourne. The next game is Gold Coast Suns versus Richmond at People's First.
Yeah, Gold Coast playing some good footy, Joshy. They I've had two out of the last 3 weeks have been outstanding. So I reckon they'll continue that against Richmond.
I agree. Actually, the Tigers, I'm fairly sure, beat them last time in Melbourne. So
They did.
that'll be an interesting game to see. Yeah. Sydney versus Essendon at the SCG on Saturday afternoon.
I think Sydney. Essendon obviously really injury hit. So Sydney can technically still make, can they? 40, 44, 48. Okay, so they've got to win basically every game and rely on other teams. Sydney for me.
All right. I'll go Sydney as well. The next game is Sunday or our Saturday night. Then Sunday is St Kilda versus North Melbourne at Marvel. Good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. North obviously will be bitterly disappointed with how they went. I'm going to go the Saints, but I reckon it'll be a good game, close game.
Yeah, I agree. It might be close. I think the Saints will be up and about, and it might kickstart them for the end of the season and potentially next season as well, because if they can get playing like they did in that last quarter, they're going to be hard to stop. So I'll tip the Saints as well. Geelong versus Port Adelaide Sunday afternoon at 3:15 GM HBA.
Yeah, Geelong.
Cats.
Yep, I think Cats.
All right, last game of the round, Freo versus Carlton over in Perth.
Yes,
important game for the Dockers.
It is. Yeah, they've proved some people wrong, which is good to see. Freo for me, they're hard to beat over there.
Freo for me as well. All right, touch on your game Thursday night. Doggies versus the Giants at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, massive game for us. Obviously played them already this year, and we had a really good win against them in Canberra. But yeah, a huge game for us, mate. We've got to play every game like it's our season on the line, which it is. But yeah, fully confident that, off the back of the game on the weekend, obviously know that Essendon are having their struggles at the moment, but we were still able to execute pretty well and, move the ball really well. So yeah, really confident we can move into this game and bring that. We've just got to consistently do it over the 4 quarters, which sounds like a broken record at the moment. I do, because that's what I've said in all our losses. But yeah, we've got to really be on. And as I said, we know that we've got to win every game from here on out. So yeah, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a few big outs for the Giants, so that probably helps you guys. I think Buckley, Kelly, and Toby Green's out with suspension. So there's three of their key players out, but I'm sure you boys won't be taking that for granted. Midfield battle, really important. Tom Green's in some pretty good form. You guys tend to, match up quite well against them in the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, that's largely where it's won for us, in these games against the Giants. And I reckon they're going to know that. I think the head-to-head actually in the last, if I look here, I don't even know where to see our last few results, but I feel like, here we go. We've won 1, 2, 3 of the last 4 games. So 3 in a row. So I reckon the Giants are going to know that and come with that energy and want to obviously beat us. So, we've got to be wary. We've got to know that. And they're an elite side. They're, in my opinion, when they're playing their best footy, they're premiership content. Like, they're one of the top sides. So we've got to know that. And their forwards up and about at the moment. Like Jesse Hogan, he's really starting to build his same form as he had last year and earlier this year. Jake Stringer, mate, he looked unbelievable on the weekend. How's the goal he kicked where he hit it at full pace and snapped the ball? He's such an enigma for them. He gets them going. I think Aaron Cadman's really blossoming and becoming a really great player of our competition. So we've just got to be wary. Got to be wary. Got to beat them around the ball. We know they're going to flick the ball around, which they've done largely this year. So got to be able to stop that and go back the other way, which hopefully we can.
I'm really looking forward to watching that on Thursday night. We'll get into our game on Saturday night against the Pies, which is going to be a huge challenge, as I talked about earlier. I think that our boys we're pretty keen to get down there and get stuck into this one. Obviously, Collingwood going really well. Lost to Freo 2 weeks ago now. But yeah, we know that they're footy, and we always talk about it on here how good they have been this year. So massive challenge for us, and just really looking forward to it, mate. I think it's going to be a packed house too, which would be awesome to play at the MCG in front of a few supporters there.
Yeah, these games historically are great. I mean, was it last year when, you guys were winning most of the game. No, it wasn't last year, was it? It was last year?
Yeah,
winning
yeah,
most of the game, and
yeah.
they came back and, you must be really looking. It's just a great challenge for you. I feel like, as I said, your next 4 months, for 4 weeks, you've got Collingwood, Sydney, Freo, and Hawthorn, who are all really, really good sides. So it's great for you guys to come up against quality opposition, and there's no bigger challenge for you against, probably the premiership favourites and the Maggies.
As you said, mate, they've got the wood over us the last 4 games that we've played, and last year's 1 point loss for us at the MCG was disappointing because we controlled that game for the majority of it, and then let ourselves down. So, I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's what we'll be striving to do on the weekend against the Pies. And we don't really look any further than this week, but I mean, it is obviously evident that we have a tough run home. But as I said, you want to challenge yourself against the best teams in the competition and have yourself playing some really good footy at the right time of year to launch into hopefully a finals campaign. So, yeah, we're looking forward to this one, mate. As I said, can't wait to get down there and get stuck into it.
I'm looking forward to this, mate. I cannot wait.
We'll move on from the games and I just want to ask you one question. One curly question, mate.
Oh, we're back. Curly questions are back. Love it. Just
one before we wrap up. I know it's been a long episode, but I want to ask you, we were talking about this the other day because in the club, in the toilet, it gets pretty quiet every now and then. So if you needed to go to the toilet and drop the kids off, are you rathering it be like some background noise over the speaker or just dead silent in the bathroom when you go in there to do that?
Well, I always time it. I always try and go when no one's in there. So
dead silent?
Well, if someone's in there and I see it, I'll just wait for them to be done and then I'll just go back in there. So
you got cubicles, yeah?
Yeah. What would I prefer? Noise, of course. I want loud noise, loud music, just to to block out the, just I'm not even going to keep saying what I'm saying, just to block out, as you could imagine, what I'm thinking. So, yeah. Anyway, Brado, what do you think?
Well, do you want some music to push it out on the beat or something? We get way too intimate with some of these questions, don't we?
Yeah, 100%.
It's great. It's great.
That's what, that was going through my mind when you guys were talking about the testing for caffeine. I was thinking, with the limits so high, you probably don't have to test for who's on too much caffeine. You just look for the bloke that's shit himself because he's had about 30 coffees by the time you hit the limits. But I did have a question. I actually had 2. Did you end up having your interview with Abby Holmes?
I did. Yep.
Oh, yes.
How'd it go?
I did. It was great. Yeah, we presented her with a Bulldogs jumper for a little Braxy, so it was nice. It's good to be there.
Oh, that's very lovely. I watch Fox, so.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Could have told Abby last week then.
Yeah, that's why I keep nice and quiet. And this is my real question. If the game gets too far away from you on the weekend, will you pull an England and just ask for the oppo to shake your hand and call it a draw? Like, what are your thoughts on that? That's very English behaviour, isn't it? Oh, we can't do anything. We can't win. 2 blokes out there want to get their test centuries. One bloke, his first test century, and he's saying, mate, you're going to just score test centuries against our nothing bowlers because we're not going to play our good bowlers. Mate, that's on you. Play your good bowlers or shut up. Play the last 15 overs, you bloody English. Oh, my God. Shake my hand. Shut up. Shake your own hand. Get away with I'd smack them all around the park. 6s. They wouldn't. Oh, I'd go for 200 after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty filthy.
Yeah. Can you just do it? Oh, hopefully you're not in that position. But if you're losing on Saturday and it's, say it's 10 minutes to go and you're down by 30, just go and shake someone's hand. I'm leaving. And just start walking off.
That's the hypothetical, isn't it? Jeremy Cameron's going for his 100th goal, 30 of them against Essendon, who's just got no one out there playing. Zach Merritt goes up, come on, mate, shake my hand, would you, please? Please shake my hand. You reckon Jez is going to do it when he's on 99?
No.
Nah.
No.
That's pretty
not
much
at
like
all.
the situation, though. That is a similar situation.
He's just asking for mercy, and then he's doing it under the veil that, oh, come on, he doesn't. These guys don't know sportsmanship. Bowl the ball.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, we don't have to deal with that, thank God.
Weak English. That's why they're not good at cricket.
Yeah, true. Who else do you have to rip, Brado? Because it sounds like you're on one right now. It's good.
That was about it. You guys have shocked me that much. Last week, I left beforehand and went and got a Palmer at the pub. Now I'm going to go get a Palmer at the pub, and I'm going to have him test my Palmer. I'm going to have him test my Carlton draft. I can't be. I had 20 beers on the weekend. Who knows what I've got going around my system?
Brado, can you do me a favour? Actually, can you go try the Violet Crumble protein bar? Let me know if it's any good.
Yeah, I'll film a video because I know you're a sicko and you'd want to watch me eat it.
Hey, the only sicko going around is you, because you proved that by wanting to be invisible, and no one even knows what you look like when you come with the potty because you're just his voice in the background, Brado.
For good reason. I want to be. Imagine that. Have you seen that South Park episode where he's invisible? He takes all his clothes off, but he's actually not invisible. That would be me. I'd be on the Channel 9 News or something.
We have got to end the podcast right
geez.
now because we are blabbering on about shit.
Hey, we still got about 20 minutes worth of toilet stuff we can talk about, surely.
Wrap it up, Josh.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, Adzi. Thanks, Brado, for your input. As always, mate. We'll see you all next week.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Brooks Blooms, your all-in-one landscaping solution.
Brooks Bloom's 3-step landscaping experience offers a seamless journey from design to construction and ongoing care, ensuring your outdoor space thrives year-round.
Visit brooksblooms.com today to embark on your landscaping journey, where every step is a step towards a vibrant and beautiful outdoor entertaining space.